We've got a guest from Ireland, Juju Jay. He is a mountain runner and leader. He takes people out on guided runs and is the founder of Mudsweatandrunners, which is his running club, so to speak, over in Ireland. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Juju. So Juju, would you like to just, let's go with how you started getting into mountain running?
That's a good story. How are you doing, everybody? This is Crazy Juju in the Wicklow Mountains. And that's just a bad nickname. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but not really. I think we're just mountain runners, trail runners, all this kind of stuff. We're seen as, crazy people that run up mountains and jump over things and get up on tight ridges and run down, and people think we're crazy. But anyway, yeah, I got into trail running and such. Going on now, 17 years ago, maybe, probably a little bit less, a little bit longer, can't specifically remember. And it came from a story where I'm a tattoo artist by trade, covered in tattoos, and I worked really, really hard in England, actually, in Nottingham, of all places. And I just became so intense with my work that I wasn't looking at my health, my fitness, and my weight. And just, like a year can pass very fast, and 4 years passed really fast. And I would look down at myself and went, my God, I'm actually quite fat. Now, maybe that word isn't appropriate, but I was big, coming from tall, skinny, 6'2", nice and skinny, toned, muscly, to like big, blobby belly, man boobs, big old face. We'll show you pictures in the links later on. And just like big person, but I was still a cyclist. I was still mountain biking. I was still cycling to work. I never drive. I don't believe in driving. I've been cyclist all my life. But with cycling, your legs do all the work, Upper body is just being carried. So one day I just said, you know what, I need to go to the gym. And I joined the gym. Long story short, gym wasn't for me, but I got on the treadmill, and this was in Nottingham. And I wasn't running before that. I was always mountain biking. I was always doing motocross and different kind of extreme sports. And the guy in the gym said to me, Jay, you're a natural runner, because he had me on the flats, and then suddenly it went up. And I was breaking sweat. It wasn't easy. And he said to me, we're heading into the Peak District this weekend. Do you want to join us? And I'm like, Peak District? No idea what that is. So go up there to Sports Pursuit, get yourself a pair of shoes and a jacket, and let's go for it. And suddenly I did. Got a pair of Speed Cross 2, which I still have today from memory. And I went running with them. It was absolutely tough as hell. But I thoroughly enjoyed it because I was into mountain biking and other type of sports back in Ireland, which led me then into trail running. And then, sure, here you are. That's the basic story.
That's funny, man, because I had a similar story. I was a mountain biker as well as a child, like mountain biking, BMXing. Never really a big runner as a child, but as I grew up and got more into the running, it's like almost like a kind of natural transition, isn't it? Doesn't feel natural at first. It's difficult at first, but then
it's quite difficult. Yes,
but then once you get out in the mountains and improve, you soon start to get kind of a flow going with the trails.
Yes, again, you see the addiction and that new hobby you just started, and you see the progression. You see, like for me, it was all about kicking the body fat down, and because he was my coach and he was always beside me, so for him, he wasn't teaching me how to run as such. He was more teaching me like slow down, and if your heart rate's too high now and that kind of thing. We go back to the gym, we get on the treadmill, etc., etc. So it was almost coach in gym, but also gym in the mountains. So over time, it was only like weekends I could go into the Peak District, and for travel reasons, and work and stuff like that. But eventually, I came back to Ireland, and I started running myself in the local hills in Dublin. Which I came again very addictive. Which I ended up running too much too soon, because there's no one there to teach you how to trail run, especially in Ireland. Back in them days, it was very taboo, trail running anyway, yeah. And you have some of the old school elites that were doing things that people still looked at them going, whoa, what's going on? It's a bit crazy, So I done it every day consistently for years. And I was so skinny. I was actually too skinny that I looked sick, I went from one extreme to another extreme. But I learned how to maintain my body a bit more. I also got so many injuries that I learned how to not get them injuries again. So I was a hill striker for years. And then this has gone like from short story to shorter story. I was heel striker. I went to midfoot, then I went to forefoot. I stayed in forefoot. I went and learned how to chi run. I done some barefoot running classes on not on like how to run, but more on your posture. So I was slouching forward, I was kneeling forward, I was 6'2", I should have been standing tall. Chi run and got my, yeah, exactly. He lifted me up in the air as if someone was pulling me up by my hair and just let my legs like run like a child, you know. And I just learned so much more about body and through yoga and through to chi running and barefoot running that it naturally progressed me into wearing kind of minimalist shoes, you know. Took me away from where the injuries would happen, where I was heel striking with cushion, as you know yourself. You're wobbling too much to down to a minimalist shoe where when I touch the ground, it's back up again. So there's no wobbling, you know. And that led to where I am today, to be honest, you know. And that's cutting it. That's cutting a big story out there, a big chunk we can talk about if you want, anyway. But that's where it led me now today to where I am, very comfortable, a comfortable athlete, to where I can teach, I can pass on my knowledge, I can share, and I now lead groups now full time as my full time job, which is fantastic because none of that stuff it was never actually being created at the start as a job, you know. It just became a natural, organic thing, you know. Mm-hmm. I hope that was a good answer.
No, that was good, man. Really interesting you mentioned the chi running there, because that's something that you don't hear as much about. So
no.
give the listeners a little bit more information about chi running and what you mentioned about standing upright posture and all this sort of stuff. What is it's got a lot to do with the breath, is that right?
For me, well, as a lot of people would think chi is energy and stuff like that because of Tai Chi and stuff like that. For me, the chi class was a kind of an intro, so I didn't do the full length of the class. It was an intro to a running kind of program show. There was a talk there about ultra running and so on. And then there was a bit about chi, so I involved myself. And yeah, they basically, what happened to me that day was I was put on the treadmill to show me how I'd run naturally, and then jump off the treadmill, to have a quick talk, and then jump back on again. The talk was the intro, how to posturize yourself, how to land naturally. There was no shoes or socks on us, and it's more about posture. So how our arms and our feet and our hips, how we are aligned. It almost like hatha yoga on the floor, but for us it was all about running, you know. And it was just taught the basic of chi running, natural form, natural style, elongated head, looking ahead, you know, injury free, prevention free, all that kind of stuff. And I tried it, and it actually really worked. And to me, I was thinking chi is all about energy because I'd done Tai Chi for years, you know, and breathing and stuff like that. But really, it was all about my posture, how tall I was. If I shortened my stride, I would be, I'd have more energy, etc. And I was just getting into ultra run as well. So for me, having more energy and more oxygen in my body for the longer time on the mountains was just perfect for me. So I carried on with the shorter stride. I used to do a long stride, being 6'2". So I shortened my stride really short, almost just like yourself. And I wasn't raising my legs up as high on the back. I was keeping them connected to the ground as much as I could. I wasn't showing off my soles, as they say. By doing that, I mean, I could still run quite fast to quite slow, you know, and still have my heart rate was always comfortable, you know. And where before with the longer stride, I was using more energy and breathing heavier. Therefore, you're using more energy, as you could say, you know. So that was the animal of chi running for me. And then from there, I just kind of progressed into the barefoot running as well with some other coaches for a long time. And they were teaching me almost the same elements, just a bit more focused on closer contact to my feet, my hips, my basically my alignment. And that became addictive, which it also so for about, I'd say about 2 to 3 years of full on, now I mean full on, going back to basics, like taking away what I learned before, myself learning stuff to bring in this new thing, and then 2 or 3 years of consistent shoulders upright, I'm making sure I'm not slouching, listening to myself, you know, being more body awareness of my posture, which I still am today. I'm very cautious about how I land my feet.
Yeah, man.
You know.
And so with that transition to barefoot running, did you find that, you know, a lot of people are getting on the barefoot bandwagon, and they have been for a while, haven't they? And it's definitely got its benefits. But are there some downsides that you would say there are to barefoot running, or things we should be cautious of for people getting into barefoot running?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've definitely seen it over the years, going from FIVOs, going from literally barefoot myself. I mean, no socks or nothing, like no shoes. And I still do barefoot today. I walk, I hike barefoot, I do a lot of stuff barefoot. But with regards to running with trails, you know yourself, you're on rocks and stones and scree and scrail, you have to wear something to protect the skin. So for me, my ankles and my feet are extremely strong. I would never be concerned about just going into the shop now and buying it like a pair of, 5 fingers and go run a marathon. I wouldn't be concerned about my calves, my ankles, because me personally, I've trained. So for people who are just getting into it, personally, I would say to them, take your time. And when I say take your time, I mean 2-3 years of taking your time, because, without going into the natural form of being a baby, to where we build up all that strength in our ankles and our feet, and then going into getting older. So we introduce cushion into our shoes. The cushion takes away the strength from your ankles. I would definitely recommend starting with a minimus shoe. So a minimus shoe will have a little bit of cushion, but not too much cushion. So when you do go to roll your foot on the ground, it won't actually roll too much, where the bigger cushiony shoe on a heel strike would definitely roll you on the trails, especially if it's technical with rocks and scree and stuff like that, I also recommend for people to use wobble boards. And, there's plenty of YouTube channels, or even yourself, get yourself a coach and get yourself doing kind of one-legged stands on wobble boards, or even two-legged stands, and any exercise like that at all, even in the grounds. I mean, I have a hillbilly gym outside, and I do all sorts of, mainly a lot of drills on my ankles. Like today, I was out running in the mountains and I was just doing technical stuff for my ankles,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, back down to it. I mean, just build up them ankles, build up the calves. I'm using my arm here. Build up the calf muscles, definitely build up the hips, and build up your confidence as well. Because a lot of times, people rely on cushion, so they just plant their feet everywhere. Where when you go minimus or barefoot, you really be more cautious about where you put your feet, which brings you back to barefoot running when you take your shoes and socks off. Because I do a bit of teaching for barefoot running. And people are always emailing me saying, Jay, it's amazing because I'm more aware where I put my feet. I'm more aware of my posture. I'm more aware of the elements. If you had shoes or wellies on, you don't think, you just land on dog poo for all you know. You know what I mean? You don't think where you land your feet,
Yeah, man. I think the barefoot running, exactly like you said there, it can be a great tool, can't it, to use? And
fantastic, yeah.
Like you said, you could run a marathon barefoot. And there's some great feats that people are doing just now, but it's just something we've got to be a little bit cautious of, like you mentioned on the rocks and the screes and stuff. So many people I see getting injured when they try and go into the barefoot running sort of thing. And like you say, it takes a long time. I mean,
it takes a long time, yeah.
2 to 3 years there. So you mentioned your group, Mudsweatandrunners. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your group and what you do?
Excellent, brilliant. Yeah, I created that group, Mudsweatandrunners, many years ago. Just to get people together in Glendalough, where I lived at that time. And it's a fantastic place to live. It's like any national park, it's got mountains everywhere, rivers, lakes, etc. And I just wanted to share it. And I never really put a schedule together until I realized how popular it was getting. And it was like maybe once a week at the weekends. And then suddenly there was like, at start there was 2 or 3 people. Then each week it became 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. I was like, I can't do this. I can't lead all these people. And it became a big responsibility, And I just realized that there's more. It was getting popular, so I started putting a schedule together. I was like, say, Tuesday night for intermediates. Like I put down all the details, the paces and stuff like that. Wednesday night, kind of introduction to beginners for hills, etc. And then at the weekends, I'd do some other one-to-ones or something in the mornings. And then at the weekends, I'd have an ultra run, and then a beginner run, and it just progressed. And that was back in the days. Nowadays, I couldn't even do. The most I can do now is probably with a group, it would be like 30, 40 kilometers, marathon kind of distance. And if we're going out to do a longer distance, I really have to plan that, because the following day I'd have a beginner run. So I didn't want to make my legs jelly, So it got so popular that it's a good thing, and it's a great thing for me. At the moment, I haven't worked in months. I don't even know what it's like to work anymore. I haven't seen anybody personally with all the lockdown stuff going on. But when it did happen, it was fantastic, and progressed, and it just went wild. And then I started up a new thing called Introduction to Trail Running, where I actually taught people how to run, because the beginners were coming in, they were falling, they were getting injured. Someone found it was too difficult, so I said, right, it's time to teach you all how to run. So then I created Introduction to Trail Running, just for beginners. Now, you could be a Martin coming from the road into trails, never ran trail in your life. A lot of people said, oh, I've ran many ultramarathons, I've ran many this, I've ran many that, but I can't trail run. I said, come along with teacher. So again, we brought the technique back in a little bit. So I didn't give them a full-on course like that. Just give them a sample of how they run to how I run, to see how you feel with my tips, And most of them all said, yeah, we have to stick with the tips, because it's definitely a progression in their training, And that's just how it created. And then it's still going today. Obviously, just with the lockdown, it's slowed down a little bit more,
Yeah, so that's really good, man. And anybody that's over in Ireland, make sure you check Juju's group out, because if there's a man that's going to show you around the mountains in Ireland, especially if you're new to mountain running or you're interested in trail running, check him out, because he is the man that knows the mountains out there. So you mentioned that you've got to be very cautious, make sure you're not kind of overtraining or doing too much one day and then not being able to recover for the next day. What kind of, have you got any tips or advice you could give the listeners on how you recover from your running?
No problem at all. Yeah, plenty of river dips and power naps.
Like it, man.
So river dips it's cold compression. It's always cold here with rivers. It's not like the sea where it's warmer with the salt and stuff. It's rivers are cold all the time. And even when people think being sunny out it's going to be warm, it's not. It's always cold. Trust me on that one. But you can hear me screaming for miles. But it's very good for compression on the water, and compression on the body with the blood and everything else. And I find that even after a really tough session, it could be mountain biking or anything, until my legs are just heavy, I always get into rivers, no matter how cold I feel. And I swear to you, bang, I feel like, whew, a new person again, Hence why it's always a big smile and laughter, because there's something about the elements in the mountains and the waters and stuff. It's not like having a cold shower, Just gives you an amazing, like, I don't know how to explain it. It lifts you up again, It gives you that excitement to go off again. So the next day, obviously, I feel great. I might feel a little stiff here and there, but generally I can get up on the bike or go running again, But again, I do have to be careful with my schedule. So I couldn't do like not a lot of time, but often the guys from France or Germany or even Scotland would come over for a trip. And they say, hey, Juju, I'm interested in going around the Alpen Mountains. Do you want to lead me? I said, no problem. I'd love to. When do you want it? Oh, I'm taking my Friday. Oh, damn it. I've got a big group on Saturday, So it's stuff like that I had to be very careful about, very cautious, because I'd be looking at the guy's profile and I'd be thinking, he's fast. I need to take a few days off afterwards, So I had to be careful about stuff like that, Where before, when I didn't have Mudsweatandrunners, no problem. We go out whenever, because I just go mountain biking whenever afterwards, So the best recovery tips for me were the power naps. A power nap, like I come home, say 1 o'clock, because I'd have a busy morning. I'd have 2 or 3 sessions, my own training in there as well. Walk the 4 balls, the dogs, And I come home, I might have a smoothie then, because I often don't eat at all in the mornings before I on my training. So I get out of bed, put the shoes on and go for it, or cycling and whatever. So come home, have a power nap. My power naps would be about no more than 20 minutes. 20 minutes is long enough. I shouldn't really call a power nap at 20 minutes, but it's kind of just a recovery from that morning to give me a bit of a boost to go off the rest of the day. Now, at that stage, then I'd have my smoothie, and there'd be all sorts of things, healthy stuff in there, obviously. And then I get on my day and don't think about food until dinner time, And that repeats. And I think the circle in life with the river dips, nature every day, lovely fresh air, healthy stuff, lots of water, apple cider vinegar, like healthy drinks, healthy products, got a bunch of them there with nature and everything. It helps your recovery, I think that's probably the best tips you can give someone without getting really in detail about stuff,
Yeah, man, I think you've hit 2 really good points there. That cold immersion is really, really powerful for bringing inflammation down, and yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's totally different going out in nature and getting into a river or even into the sea when it's cold. And it's like, I got into the sea today, and it's still cold here in Scotland in the
Excellent.
sea. And it's
yeah.
it's not as cold as the river, but it was cold enough, man, and it was good. And so your power naps that you have, so you go out and, correct me if I'm wrong here, you go out for your run or your train in the morning, you come back, and then you have your nap before you have your smoothie. Is that?
Yeah,
So
I very rarely eat a lot. I very rarely eat anything at all, to be honest. I normally just go out and do I get out of bed in the morning, then I do my thing, then I come home and have my smoothie. So technically, it's my breakfast at lunchtime.
Yeah,
it's kind of the first meal of the day, you know. Now it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going mountain biking that day, I couldn't. Mountain biking for me is full day, so I would have to have my smoothie beforehand. But if I'm going running, I can't eat at all and then go running. It just doesn't work in my body, you know. So I run on empty most of the times.
And then when you get back, so you have the nap first and then the smoothie afterwards, or do you eat?
Yes. I have the nap. No, I have the nap first. Then when I wake up, I have something to eat, because I have something to eat. I won't be able to sleep because it's too much. It's too much energetic. I'd have to. It gives me the boost to go off again. You know.
That's a really unique way to do it, because you hear about all this stuff about make sure you eat straight after your run, get the recovery shakes in and all that, as though your body doesn't know how to recover, man. You know, and because I do power naps as well, like, but more so in the afternoon after lunch or something. I go for like a little siesta, you know, and just lie down. And don't always go to sleep, but just relax.
No, just relax. Exactly. Switch off. Switch the phone off, airplane mode. But if you ever do a long run, for anyone who a long run could be 5K, that could be a hard run. You know what I mean? So a hard session, when you come back and your legs are tired, your feet are on fire, your back's on fire from carrying your backpack, it's very hard to eat. Like I find anyway, and some of my groupies find it as well. We can't eat. We might go for lunch and we're just looking at it, you know. We much prefer to lie down in the sun, switch the eyes off, whatever, 10, 15 minutes in the park, and then go, and we're like, it's much easier to eat food at that stage, you know. I think it's the instant shock of your body being intensely moving all the time, eat or running and swimming, whatever activity you're doing, to a shock of eating food to get back in there and replenishing something. It doesn't work for most humans. You have to rest the body down to a comfortable level. Then that's the sleep point, and then start bringing the food into it, you know. That's getting science now.
No, I like that perspective, man. I like that. And speaking of unique perspectives, your lifestyle is really unique, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't eat much at all, to be honest. I think food is overrated. Without making it sound crazy and all that, like, there's often I would go for days without food. Just because I feel good about it, you know, and because I surround myself. I mean, I'm looking all around me here now in the cabin. It's just trees and mountain peaks in the background and nature and birds singing constantly. I don't hear cars, or I don't smell traffic, or, you know, I think a part of that life helps me in what I do, you know. I get more energy and more creative from being surround myself with good elements in life, you know. So food is very small for me to think about, and over the years I've trained how to maintain my body without eating, without relying on energy from food. I use the energy from nature. That's also connected to the rivers, I do a lot of forest meditation. I do a lot of tree hugging and stuff like that. And I feel a lot of energy. Bizarrely enough, like, some people don't believe in it, but I definitely believe in it. And over the last few years, I believe more in it, because before I was one of those people that never believed in it. But I think now that I'm really connected, like, there's birds come into my house, there's all sorts of things that come in my windows, and I just let them be, because I think they're connected to me because I've connected to them. I had a frog that jumped in my door the other day. Frog. There's a pond outside my door, and there's loads of frogs every night, or toads, maybe not toads, I don't think it's on toads in Ireland, but they're really loud. There's an orchestra outside my door, you know. And then there's bird seed all over my artist area there, because the birds come in, and the dogs don't mind them. The dogs love it, you know. I had a squirrel. I've got all sorts of animals. I don't know what it is, but I think the more you connect with nature, it connects with you. So from the healing point of view, I don't often eat much foods, and I enjoy food. Don't get me wrong. There is times I eat a lot of food. The last couple of weeks, actually, been eating cake. It all started with my birthday, and then suddenly I just got a bit of a sweet tooth now, but I need to kick that away because the belly's talking to me, you know. But generally, I would say for exercise reasons, I mean, I would go for 100K mountain bike spins with maybe just eating one bar just because I feel I need to eat it. But really, I don't, you know. If I go running, the most I've ran in the last few years in one consistent go would probably be about 50K. I don't need it at all. No problem at all. I can just go out and run that morning, cup of tea that morning, just to wake up you get a bit kind of horsey or whatever in the morning, a little dehydrated maybe or whatever. Cup of tea and tea with a herbal tea or just a bit of nettles from the garden, chuck it into the pot and slap a bit of honey in there and off I go for the day. And sometimes no tea, just water. And then go running non-stop. Like that could be a lot of height gain going on there, you know. So a lot of muscle being used. And then no problem at all. And just come home, feel good, have a power nap, maybe have something to eat.
I love it, man. That's such a that's such a purist way of just just getting up, drinking water, and just going out and running, man. I've never done a 50K.
That's fantastic.
Before, that's pretty that's impressive. But like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that once you start believing in these things, they sound a lot of them sound far-fetched. It's like woo, but if you listen, if you start to believe these things, they're going to be more powerful. It's like the placebo effect, isn't it? It's if you give somebody a drug,
exactly.
the drug might not even do anything, but the placebo effect will, you're and yeah, man, I totally feel you with the whole nature thing. It's definitely a powerful it's a powerful tool. But when you do,
and when you
do,
go on, sorry.
you are fueling yourself with good nutritious food, aren't you? So that's the other thing as well. It's not like a lot of runners, I find that they gorge themselves with stuff, but it's just crap. And it's like
just crap's in there, yeah.
So you can get away with
it. So
that.
genuinely, most of my days, I mean, if we ever video my kitchen, it's quite intense. It's like it looks expensive, but really it's not. There's a lot of like protein, like powders and stuff like that. I'm addicted to a lot of that stuff. So during the week, up to most of my runs and most of my ventures, obviously I be very healthy, and that's consistency as well. It's like training to do your first big hard run. As I said, 5K, 50K, 100K, 500K, whatever your hard is. It's the consistency up to that. So for me, drinking the water, eating the food, doing the sleep, the recovery, then the run, then repeat the following week, following month, following year. And I think the more you do that, then the more your body adapts to your ways. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah, man, totally. You're training your body to adapt to run on less energy, essentially, aren't you? And then you're
exactly,
yes, more and more efficient. You can take that back to the chi running. You're making your running more efficient by improving your posture, improving your breathing, improving your foot.
Exactly, yes,
cadence, and all the stuff you were talking about earlier on. And then you can look at that same thing with energy. It's like if you go out and for example, like loads of people panic about water. They're drinking loads and loads of water. It's like you don't need that much water.
Too much.
Sometimes that can be bad, can't it? Because you can deplete your
way too, too much.
So it's really interesting.
I'd often come back. I say to the guys, I think I have my water bottle somewhere. I don't. I sometimes come back after a really hot, sunny days. Now I'll be dehydrated. You see the sweat or whatever on my cap, But I'd be taking some salt tablets, But I come back sometimes even on a rainy day, and you have a little, the soft liter flasks, and I go, Jesus, lads, I didn't drink much water, But I feel good. If I don't feel cramped or stiff or anything like that, you don't see sometimes salt marks on the heads or the t-shirts or whatever. But generally, I feel fine. It's kind of bizarre, But often as well, I'd probably be drinking a lot of water from the streams. I made my body immune that I don't get sick anymore. I used to get sick a long time ago from drinking from streams and stuff, But not anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Because a lot of people panic, don't they? Oh, you've got to be careful you don't drink from streams and stuff. But it's like it's because our bodies have been trained to drink this chlorinated water. If you live in a normal sort of town or city, anyway.
Exactly.
Super interesting, man. Have you got any events coming up this year? I know you do a bit of racing and stuff, mountain racing.
Yeah, we had a lot going on, but there's been a lot of cancellations. So there's one that I'm doing. It's a 50K, 4,000 meters ascent, Seven Sisters Sky Race up in Donegal. And normally I film for Hugh, who organises the Sky Race every year. I usually run after all the athletes with my cameras and make a film for him, with the drones and everything. Like that's a tough job, really. And then you find some fast athlete, you have to drop everything, grab the camera and run really fast after them, and run back to your camera gear. So it's been a lot of work. I end up doing more time on my feet with those events. So I decided this year, because I had a setback last year with 2 injuries, not running related injuries. I very rarely have a running related injury from all the training, you know. But I slipped a disc in my back from other things, probably too much mountain biking, and I just put my setback. I had to cancel out races, which was a bummer for me, you know. But I do like to travel a lot. I love to go to Snowdonia and play around the rocky ridges and stuff like that, and make some movies for my YouTube channel. So my only race this year I want to do, hopefully if it goes ahead, will be the Seven Sisters. That's going to be tough because it's out and back. It's 25k out one way with a lot of steep, brutal hills, and then return on the way back for the pleasure and the fun of it, you know.
Yeah, I've looked at that one as well. I submitted an application to the Gale Force, but it got postponed, didn't it? Just much like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I always do that year. I mean, I got a lot of invites to pretty much all the races in Ireland. So all the muddy out and mountain races I've done at the Skyline, up in the Morans. That's always a good one as well. But look, it's all gone a bit mad at the moment with the COVID. So it's hard to know what's going on, you know. So really, I haven't booked or. There was a race I did pay for and stuff, and I said, well, you know, I don't really think it's going to go ahead. It's just a fun race. It's only a marathon. It's about 2,500 meters, but it's in Chamonix, so it's like a beautiful place to go running, you know. If that goes ahead in June, well, I'll be there. If it doesn't, whatever, at this stage, you know, I've done it a good few years ago. But my main goal will be the Seven Sisters, because it's not just to finish the race for me. It's to really push hard, because I've done it 3 years in a row by filming it, you know. So I know the route so well. I just want to as best I can this year, you know.
Hopefully, man.
We'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, man. Yeah. So you know what, we've covered a lot of good topics here today. You've given some good tips to the listeners. I think we'll just round it off with where do you see yourself 5 years from now then, as Juju? Do you think you'll see yourself in the same place doing what you're doing? Are you content?
I never really think too far about the future. I always try to deal with the present, and you know, I would probably, it's a difficult question to answer for me. I'd probably like to see my groups progress more in themselves, believe more in themselves, obviously create new groups as well. I am trying to, now with the lockdown being the way it's been done, like what, I can't even remember now, 3 times now it's been different lockdowns. I actually can't keep up anymore. So I'd like now to, I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of meditating. I'm going to start doing group runs in different parts of the country. Now I always bring people around Europe as well. I have connections in Grand Canaries, and I've got connections in Scotland. I've got connections. I know I have you as well. I've got connections in Wales. So when I bring people around, I bring them to them different countries. I organise the buses and everything else for them, the flights, everything. But now I'm actually physically going to start going away. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to Scotland, see you, Chris, for a week. Let's organise a group run. Let's organise some introduction going on there. Let's talk about this, that, the other. So I'm going to start doing a little more seminars around, like, UK mainly, because it's easier for me to get to, you know. Mm-hmm. And so that's my new thing I'm going to try and do.
Something to look forward to, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Yeah, a lot of talking going on.
Good stuff. So where can the listeners find you then, Juju? Obviously you're on Instagram.
Any social media pages. You can Google Juju Jay or Mudsweatandrunners. Mudsweatandrunners is mainly the group. So when I'm out with them, I post about Mudsweatandrunners. I very rarely post about Mudsweatandrunners if I'm not with them, but I post every single day. I'm a full-time blogger and vlogger as well. I got a lot of films on YouTube to do with trail running, also mountain biking as well, and swimming and barefoot walking. So if you Google's my business card. You just Google Juju Jay, all the information comes up. I've got several pages on Instagram, Facebook. I got a few blogs going on there, personal pages, and then Twitter and a couple other pages that are, you know, blogs and stuff. So you'll definitely be finding me on Google.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So everybody listening, I hope you got some good tips there from Juju for mountain running and recovery and stuff like that. So thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all the major podcast outlets and on YouTube as well. We'll get this up. And once again, Juju, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate this. Hope to get you on again sometime, and we can have have another chat, talk a bit more deep
All right.
some other topics, man. That would be good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me along. And I want to get Patrick here to say a little out because he's very curious who I'm talking to, you know. Can you come on and say hi, Patty? Come on, say hi. Up. There he is. Look. Hello. Where's your doggy? You got a doggy there?
Yeah, he's just a bit big to be lifted up, but come on in.
Yeah.
he's been sitting wanting to chat the whole podcast, and now he's interested.
Shy. That the thing about dogs, they're like, who are you talking to? You know.
Yeah, that's it, man.
They think we're crazy. Anyway, thanks again for having me on. I'm looking forward to seeing the result of it, and we get sharing all the blogs.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Juju.
All right, take it easy. Peace out. Bye.